right, so what I'd like to talk about right now is the compositional musical construction of the Super Mario Brothers theme, and how it's put together structurally is really interesting, and also just any other sonic aspects about it. I'm just gonna analyze it for you. So this is a loop. It's 1 minute and 22 seconds long. Let's go ahead and listen to the original version together. It's the OST that's on YouTube. So let's check it out. All right, and that's the end of the loop right there. So let me put myself back on the screen here. Yeah. All right, so it's a loop that's 1 minute 22 seconds long. It's really easy to listen to, and it works really well. I myself like playing this Super Mario Brothers, the original, and Super Mario Brothers 2 and 3 and Super Mario World, etc. All the ones I played on the NES and on the Super Nintendo growing up. I never got tired of the music when I was a kid, and even listening to it now, I also don't get tired of the music. It's always fresh. It doesn't, whenever it loops, it doesn't set off to me the fact that it's a loop. It doesn't reveal its loop to me. Like a lot of video game music, you have this big, long thing, and then whoop, you can hear the exact spot where it loops and starts over. And as a player, it gets kind of tiresome to listen to that loop over and over, especially as an audio person. I know how it's made, right? So it's this one really covers up the loop in an interesting way. So let's analyze it together. So first, just the musical content. Here's another Super Mario Brothers YouTube video, but this one has the sheet music with it. Let's take a look at this. So I'm just going to stop and I'm going to use this to talk through. First of all, the sound card, as one of my students, John Levy, pointed out, the sound card on the NES has a particular timbre, a particular color to the sounds that are being used. And you can really tell like how bright, how like square wave, triangle wavy. There's a lot of emphasis in the high mids. And actually, I'm going to take this into Adobe Audition by just grabbing an MP3 of this, using a handy YouTube to MP3 converter, so that I can show you the frequency content of this a little bit easier. Okay, it's converting. I'll come back to it. Yeah, just throw it on the desktop. Okay, so meanwhile, actually it's already here. I'll just go ahead and open this in Adobe Audition, which is a useful software for viewing and analyzing audio. It's a part of the Adobe Creative Suite, Creative Cloud, and it's really an editing tool. All right, let's see. So first of all, the amplitude of everything is very consistent. Let me turn on the spectrum analyzer and make it logarithmic. I guess it's already logarithmic. I want it in hertz, and I want it full logarithmic. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of that. There we go. That's more what I want. So as you can see here, the different groups of frequencies, we have a lot of energy in the mid-range. So let me just play you the mid-range. So most of the energy of the track is in the mid-range, but there's also quite a bit in the high mids. Oh yeah, that snare. The snare lives in the high mids and in the highs, and man, does it sound great. Super dry snare, no reverb, no processing on it, and it has a very much like a sine tone, sorry, not a sine tone, a white noise kind of quality to it. Very characteristic. If we look at everything together on the frequency analysis, so there's really, let me freeze it here. So there's a little bit more bass than there is the highs, but usually these days, it's going to look something like this, like a ton of bass and then a roll off. So it's pretty flat compared to most audio production these days, which has a lot more bass content. So this is very bright in general. All right, so we'll come back to that. Just get this out of the way for now. So going back to the sheet music, to the notes and the rhythms part of it. So the first thing we have is this hook. Let's listen to the hook. Actually, I love the timbre of the original so much. Hearing it in piano, it's like very smooth timbre, smooth sound color. It's really kind of, it's kind of tired of it already. So we have this hook, which is the da-da-dun-dun-dun-dun, which is the main sort of theme of it. So we'll call this just theme, or idea A. And then we have this 4-bar loop. Let's listen to the loop. So these are descending arpeggios that outline pretty simple harmonies. So it's in C major, dun, dun, dun. It's just outlining a C major triad. Dun, 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 dun. We have this, basically it's a little chromatic figuration that outlines F major. Dun, 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 dun. This really is like a steel drum lick. It has this like walking, sort of jazzy rhythm to it, of these dotted rhythms. So we're going to call this A. And A is 4 bars long. Whoop. And actually, one thing that I want to mention that my student John Levy pointed out to me is that the bass is in unison for both of these. So if you look at the treble, da 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 da, the bass has the same rhythm. Actually, that's called homorythmic. And we have this twice, so 4 times 2. I'll just scoot this over a little bit more here. Do this on the whiteboard or something, but you know. Just so I get this theme out of the way here. Okay, so far structurally this is what we've got. Let's keep listening. So we have this kind of walking bass line now for the, we'll call this B. And this is 8 bars long with a repeat, so 16 bars total. And in this case, the bass starts walking. I'm actually going to make this a little bit smaller so I can fit more on here. Bass unison. Then we have walking bass starting in the B section. Yeah, there we go. Something like that. And so the bass is in contrast to the treble, also dun, 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 dun. We kind of have this 3-on-2 feel. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And it's really like groovy, it's funkier. So up until now, it's really been all about the melody, but now we have this sense of groove that kicks in. So let's listen to this and continue on. Okay, so right here, in the next section, we'll call this C. So C still has the walking bass. And C, let's see how many bars it is. 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then actually the last 2 bars of C are the hook. So we get the hook. So this is actually just 6 bars. And then right after this, we get the hook again, which is 2 bars. And again, bass unison. So actually this is kind of one big section. So I'm gonna call it C with the hook as the last part of C. So this is interesting. We have da 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 da. This is actually the first theme that we've had. It's very similar to the hook. Da 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 da. It has a similar rhythm. Da 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 da. Especially in the first quarter notes, exactly the same rhythm. This one has basically an ascending and then descending figure to it. Da 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 da. Whereas in the other parts of, let's see here. Let me see if I got my image back here. All right, there we go. So whereas in the other parts of the song, it's mostly of the piece, it's dun, 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 descending motion, da 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 dun, da 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 da. So descending and then ascending. And then in C, we have da 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 da. So it's a different shape to it, actually. And this different shape adds more contrast. So to me, this is the most like kind of laid back part of the track, da 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 da, with this walking bass line. And then before we know it, every single thing so far has been in groups of 4. So the hook is 2 bars, but then A is sets of 4, B is sets of 4, C is a set of 2, and we get the hook back with it. So it loops us back to the beginning right here to A in this very sneaky way already. So after this section, let's see where we go. So we're back to A. Okay, so we got A, which is 4 bars, and we got it 2 times. So same as before. And in this case, we have the bass unison. It's just the same. Let me space this a little bit better. Then the next section, so normally what we would expect is that it would go to B. Da 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 da. But we don't get B. We don't even get C. We get something else. Back to the beginning, really slick. We're not gonna get da 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 da. We get something even different. We get D. So this is, I believe it's 8 bars long twice. 8 bars twice, we have a walking bass again. And this figure, let's analyze the melody a little bit. So, da 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 da. That's more like A, dun 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 dun, except it's a variation on A. So we can actually kind of call this D or A prime. So it's more similar to A than anything else, except it has a walking bass, and it has these this kind of breakdown. Dun, 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 dun. Now after here, we get so after we get that, we get C again. I believe that's C. This always messes me up because it's really tricky. Let's see. Yeah. So here's C the first time. Here's C the second time. This is the repetition of D right here. So before this is just 6 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, that's insane. Completely insane. Because we get C, we get the hook, just like before. Everything's the same, 2 bars. And we have a walking bass that turns into a bass unison. But, instead of going to A, which has happened every single time, look at this, hook goes to A, hook goes to A, hook does not go to A, does not go to A. It totally fakes you out. If anybody else had written this back in 1985, this hook would have gone back to A. It would have just been a looping structure. Actually, this hook would have just been lopped off. It would have been like this. And then if you see here, now that makes a very clear loop. That's not how it is. Instead, he breaks the loop right towards the end of it. And we get this little distraction. So let's listen to the little distraction. We get D again. Freaking D! Where does D come from? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so this has the level clear, but normally it just loops back to the hook. So here we get D, which is craziness. And as before, D has 8 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Except it only happens one time, and we have walking again. So everything about this loop leads you to think that after the hook, da 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 dun dun dun, comes dun dun dun, and because it does it very clearly twice. And then the third time, just when you think the whole thing is going to go over again, it doesn't. It totally fakes you out. So both that and the insertion of D right here instead of B, so this and this right here are compositional absolute brilliance. It's incredible. So one more time, let's listen to the original. Now appreciating these different things about the form and how it's put together. Section. 8 bars. combination of B, the walking bass, and the A's melodic idea. Then we get C. And this version takes it out. So that's funny. So after this, it would be da 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 dun, and it continues. So actually, it makes perfect sense that whoever made this video cut out this last D, because it almost feels like it's not supposed to be there. So if somebody's, downloading it from the NES and uploading it to YouTube or however they made it, it makes sense to me that they cut the loop in the wrong place because the construction is so sophisticated, actually. So let me see if I have any other thoughts about the sheet music. I also have another score version of it here on my desktop that you can look at. This is notated with a different meter with a faster time feel, but the same thing applies. I think the thing that pops out to me the most is just how jazzy this is. It's almost like stride piano, like Fats Waller, or like Art Tatum, where you have in the left hand and then some big melody on top in the right hand. But it's very simple. Very simple. So the important thing about this composition is that this like lopsided loop thing that Koji Kondo composes had not really been done before in classical music or in game music. So by making a looping structure that repeats over and over again, the player's supposed to hear it over and over and over whenever they're playing. It's supposed to get them into the game, excited to play, having fun. By making this lopsided loop that tricks the listener, he did something kind of revolutionary in music composition. Just by doing something very simple, very subtle, he made it easy for somebody to listen to a loop for hours and hours and hours. And this is 1985. This is before basically the huge digital revolution made looping music, groove-based music, really proliferating by using computers, right? So this is really the forefront of modern music in media as we know it, where you have looping content behind a video. So he's really underappreciated as a composer in the Academy, I think. So that's why I'm so excited to talk about this structure and to hopefully inspire you by giving you some more ideas about how to create your own game music and how to add interest whenever you're creating a loop in a game. Rather than just having it be a song form or having it be rondo, A, B, A, C, A, D, A. Try doing these strange things with the form where you insert a couple bars here, 1 or 2 bars here. And we'll see later whenever I analyze Nobuo Uematsu's music in some of the Final Fantasy games. He also does this. He'll put like a weird minor key slow interlude in the midst of a big piece to kind of throw you off as listeners so you can't tell where things are supposed to happen. All right, so that's all for me from now, or all from me for now. There we go. Hope you guys are doing well, and that's it.